Yeah, Jim, it's been a wild day in Fayette County. As you know, the National Weather Service confirming 2 tornadoes touching down there this morning, causing widespread damage.
One area that was hit pretty hard is an industrial park where employees hunkered down to survive the storm. KXAN's Yoojin Cho joins us live from McCourt and Sons, where the owners have a lot of work ahead of them. Yoojin.
Yeah, good evening, Sydney and Robert. That's right. The owners here do have a lot of work, and this parking lot, this is really just shows the progress they've made so far in just one day, because this, just a few hours ago, this was full of cars that were crushed by a shipping container that the storm had toppled over. And now if you see behind me here, that's the rest of the work that the owners have to do. That used to be a building, so you can see the power of this storm here when the tornado swept through. All the employees told me that happened so quickly. It happened just as they were getting to work, and they tell me now they realize that there's that one wall that kept them safe.
Survival. I mean, what else could you think about? I mean,
Robert Bowen doesn't know how long he hung on, but he did, long enough to survive.
I want to say a minute, maybe less, maybe more. I don't remember. The only thing I remember is just I remember seeing that roof come off and just hanging on and trying not to get sucked out.
He was in this equipment wash bay. As the storm intensified, a big cylinder slid over and pinned his legs up against the wall.
And then the force of the tornado pulled me out of that door jam and picked me up off the ground about 2 feet. And the only thing that was touching anything was my foot that was pinning up against the wall.
Meanwhile, his co-workers were huddled together in this building and in the conference room.
If they move this out, you can walk into the conference room where we were. There's no wall there anymore.
Sean Fox told us when the storm hit, it was like air was being sucked out of that room.
If you can imagine yourself being put in a vacuum, that's exactly what it was.
Then they all dropped to the floor.
When I hit the ground, I asked God for help.
One of the owners, Eamon McCourt, is thankful.
We're looking at the hand of God. They weren't hurt. You know, we can replace all this stuff, but we can't replace people.
The damage is concentrated in this pretty small area along State Highway 71. So this is just before you get to LaGrange if you're driving from Austin to LaGrange. But all of the buildings that were destroyed, they are very important buildings. So for example, here, it's where people work. And we're also hearing about churches that were destroyed. So we're talking to the churchgoers over there, and I'll have that for you on KXAN News at 6. Back to you.
Gosh, they're really so lucky. Yoojin, thank you. Employees at the Fayette Regional Air Center were inside an office building watching the storm pass. The manager tells us that everyone's phones went off, alerting them to the tornado warning. They didn't see anything at first, but the wind and rain did pick up. At one point, employees couldn't even see the runway.
I was never afraid for my life, no. But I was wondering what I was going to see when this thing blew through.
Wind damaged a few hangars at the airport. It almost blew off a porch cover. The planes look like they held up.
It is what it is. I mean, that's the weather for you, right?